Paula and welcome to my Lisbon. I have the pleasure to show the city for 5 years now. I found this amazing dream job with the locals on Instagram. I'm showing the best of the city, the hidden gems, the highlights, and good food for you to taste. Everyone eats the egg-tarts. But try God's bread. It's a brioche bread with lots of coconut on the top. It's amazing. No one knows except the locals. Why book a Withlocals tour? It's having a friend here in Lisbon, even if you never met anyone from Lisbon. É uma casa portuguesa, com certeza. É com certeza uma casa portuguesa. E se a porta humildemente bate alguém, pão e vinho sobre a mesa. Was okay, or do you want something else? Hi, my name is Ana Paula, and this is my beautiful Lisbon. This is my favorite fado. Every time someone knocks the door, we invite you to get in and enjoy good food, good wine, and of course, good fado.
Ciao, sono Gabby, benvenuti nella mia Roma. I love to show my city, Rome, and my culture, mainly the food culture. Today we are going to do a tour, the best food tour in Rome, the 10 tasting of Rome, with a group of 5 guests, and I will show them a very cool local spot to have the best food and drinks, enjoying the flavors, smell, aromas of Rome. I love to see their eyes while they're eating my food. I love to see the smile or joy or the silence speaking. When they are all silent, eating. Beautiful, I love it. I met so beautiful people and I feel like, oh my God, and they even pay me. And it's like, this is a crime. I made friends. I have friends really in many places. People that come back, anytime they come back, they do another tour with me, or we go in a restaurant together for a glass of wine, whatever, because we are friends. It's like love, but with all the people. All our tours, Withlocals tours, are 100% private, and doesn't matter if you are a solo traveler, a couple, group of friends, or a family. You will be you and me or any other host, and we definitely tailor-made the experience for you.
Yeah, I think the best part is that we went with a local too, so he knows his way around and he grew up in the area. It was cool just not coming as a tourist, but getting to experience Italy, Rome as a local.
I can take all my guests to the real authentic places where I love to go. My favorite bakery, my favorite gelateria. And trust me, these are very small places. It's not a gelateria with 300 flavors. It's a small laboratory of gelato, very tiny.
Oh, so good!
If I go there with 20 persons, it's a problem. If I go there with 4, it's not a problem.
We're gonna visit Naples, Capri, Tuscany, Florence, and do many other food tours as well. And so this is only the first of many.
Fantastico!
Vi invito a conoscere la mia Roma.
Ciao, io sono Lia, benvenuti a Roma. Rome is like a strange lover. I mean, you love the city because it has so many beautiful things to see, to study, to discover, the meaning of the things. You can really find the subjects that are connected to the mankind. There are so many things that you can go deep and deep and deep, and at the end you know also better yourself. I studied archaeology, and you have to study all the little bricks, all the little potteries, but it's quite interesting by the point of view of the history. I had a PhD in medieval archaeology, because I love the castles, the stories, stories of ghosts, of mysterious things. We are not strange. We are Italians, so we are strange. In fact, it's true. We are really in that way. We are friendly people, we like the food, noisy. Be a local host means that I could find guests that became friends, had the possibility to share with them my passion for this city, but also to listen their needs. And try to find together the system to make these tours, to give meaning to their holidays. So it has like to find an experience that left memories, beautiful memories, left some knowledge more. Sometimes we become friends, so we stay longer up to night and having dinners together. It's very nice. And it's lovely when after years they still remember you and they contact you and I'm here again. Are you free from that day? And so I have a lot of friends thanks to Withlocals. Ti invito a visitare Roma.
Hello, my name is Ana Paula and welcome to my Lisbon. I have the pleasure to show the city for 5 years now. I found this amazing dream job with the locals on Instagram. I'm showing the best of the city, the hidden gems, the highlights, and good food for you to taste. Everyone eats the egg-tarts. But try God's bread. It's a brioche bread with lots of coconut on the top. It's amazing. No one knows except the locals. Why book a Withlocals tour? It's having a friend here in Lisbon, even if you never met anyone from Lisbon. É uma casa portuguesa, com certeza. É com certeza uma casa portuguesa. E se à porta humildemente bate alguém, pão e vinho sobre a mesa. Na. Was okay, or do you want something else? Hi, my name is Ana Paula, and this is my beautiful Lisbon. This is my favorite fado. Every time someone knocks the door, we invite it to get in and enjoy good food, good wine, and of course, good fado.
Ciao, sono Gabby, benvenuti nella mia Roma. I love to show my city, Rome, and my culture, mainly the food culture. Today we are going to do a tour, the best food tour in Rome, the 10 tasting of Rome, with a group of 5 guests, and I will show them a very cool local spot to have the best food and drinks, enjoying the flavors, smell, aromas of Rome. I love to see their eyes while they're eating my food. I love to see the smile or joy or the silence speaking. When they are all silent, eating, beautiful, I love it. I met so beautiful people and I feel like, oh my God, and they even pay me. And it's like, this is a crime. I made friends. I have friends really in many places. People that come back, anytime they come back, they do another tour with me or we go.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are tuning in from, for the first Withlocals host webinar of 2023. My name is Pim, and my usual role description for Withlocals can be defined as a software developer, but for today, I will be your moderator of this host webinar. And that basically comes down to being your host for once, because during this host webinar, I'm going to invite some speakers to the stage, and these speakers will discuss different subjects that are related to you, the host community. Now, during these talks, you also have the opportunity to ask questions live via the YouTube chat, which you should be able to find on the right-hand side of the video if watching on desktop, or below the video if you are watching on a mobile device. And I see that a lot of you have already found the chat, so welcome to Garen, Gulay, Emre, Agung, Omar, and Ruth, and a lot of more people in there already. We will try to answer most of your questions during this webinar, but we may run out of time in the end. So if we are going to answer all the questions during this webinar and we may fail to miss your question, no worries. We will also do a follow-up on this event later on, which contains the full recording of this event, as well as a list of questions with all questions included and also the answers this time. So keep an eye on your email for that after this event as well. Now, having said that, let's jump over to the agenda of today's webinar, because first off, we would like to host a session wherein two speakers will explain what value we as Withlocals add to you as a host. And we will go over two subjects that may not always be as top of mind as you may think, and the first subject that we will be discussing is marketing. And in this talk, Shraddha, Chief Growth Officer at Withlocals, will explain where the majority of our Withlocals fee goes to. Things like how do we spend our budget? How do people get to the Withlocals platform? And more generally, how do we reach guests, new and existing ones? And all of this will be covered in this section. So sit tight and, wait around for that. Aside from marketing, we will also discuss a new and upcoming initiative, which we for now will name Super Locals. But more on this subject will come later from Sharif, whom you may already know as the community manager at Withlocals. And we will also answer some unknowns regarding this new initiative for the host community later on in this host webinar. Now, before we head over to a small break after that, we're going to have a short fireside chat together with Sharif from the previous talk, together with the CEO of Withlocals, Matthijs. And prior to this host webinar, you were asked to send in questions that you would like to have answered. And, well, the fireside chat is the moment on which these questions will receive their answer as well. So once again, during this fireside chat, feel free to ask your questions in the YouTube chat, and we will try to get those questions answered on stream live as well. Now, last but not least, we would like to have a short chat about host recognition and how we would like to reward the amazing members of our host community. And how we will do this, you may ask? Well, stick around to the end to find out, because I also don't know, but I know that some people that are going to be speaking will have the answer to this question. Welcome once again to all the people that are also tuning in now. So surprise from Thailand, that's the name from someone. Maybe there's also a surprise from us in the end. But welcome for tuning in. Now, as you may have noticed, this is quite a full agenda. So maybe it's just best that we just start and kick right off right now with the first action item of today. So let's see what we mean with marketing and how it adds value to you as a Withlocals host. So I would like to say welcome and hello to Shraddha to the host webinar. Hope you're live as well with me now here on the stream. Could you give us a short introduction on who you are and what you do at Withlocals before jumping straight into the marketing talk?
Hi, Pim. Thank you so much. And a big hello to everyone joining this webinar from different cities across the world. I'm Shraddha and I work as the Chief Growth Officer, just like Pim explained, at Withlocals. I've been here for over 4 years, trying to build the company together with all my colleagues, based out of the Netherlands right now, and really happy to be here.
Cool, welcome Shraddha, and thanks for this the short introduction indeed. And yeah, if there's any questions to you, Shraddha, I will obviously ask them to you, and hopefully you can also answer them for the people watching at home, of course. But maybe I can just start with the first question from my end to you, because well, I mentioned marketing and Withlocals, but how does marketing currently work at Withlocals? What does it mean and incorporate for us as a company?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to share more on this. So there is a lot that goes behind the scenes at Withlocals with the commission that comes in, with technology, with support, but definitely the majority spend of that commission goes in marketing. So to give you some context in numbers, we spend over 100,000 euros per month just to drive visitors to our website, to the tours, for them to get to know you all and get to know the wonderful work that you do. So we do this in a lot of ways. We work with an agency called Sachi. And the reason why we chose to work with an agency is to make sure that we're on top of all the innovation that happens in the industry. We're on top of the game with regards to our current setup, continuously optimizing things to get better at what we do. And because I said we spend a lot, but I also want to make sure that we all know that we spend the money very judiciously. So we make sure that we're on top of the metrics like CPAs, traffic volume, bookings, on a campaign level, on a city level. So the money is spent sustainably, which basically means that the money is spent to keep Withlocals profitable, but it also drives bookings for all the hosts across all cities.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I think that's a nice general description of how we work how marketing works with locals here. Does it also, for instance, include, let's say I go to Google and I would like to go to Venice, for instance, and I would like to type in, what can I do in Venice? And then sometimes with locals pops up there.
Yeah.
Does that also mean that is, well, what marketing does for us as with locals?
Yeah, that's spot on because that's exactly where majority of the marketing money also goes, which is Google search ads. So, for instance, if you're typing keywords like with locals or locals, that is what directs you towards the brand and the platform and company with locals. But we also make sure we're targeting keywords like which are more category based. So, like if you want to look for certain food tours in a city or city tours or certain highlights. So we make sure that there's always visibility for all kinds of experiences, not just the website, but also for people to get to know the locals, their skill sets, the kind of tours they offer. So there's a variety of ways in which people can join the platform. So Google search ads is one big part of marketing, but it's not limited to that. I do want to share that we also advertise on other platforms like Facebook and Instagram. And here we have a lot of capacity to innovate with design, with copy, to make sure we're understanding how user behavior evolves over time and how people really resonate with our brand, with messaging. So there's experiments running all the time across these channels.
Cool. Thanks for answering that, Shraddha. And well, we talked about like paid marketing
Yeah.
in this case. So we spend money to get more more customers back, basically, and more bookings for also the host community. But I think sometimes it also doesn't need money to spend to get guests in, because otherwise it may also not be a sustainable model in this way. How does it work a little bit out with locals, Shraddha?
Yeah, given that I said we're also a tech platform, we make sure that not 100% of our bookings are coming from paid marketing. So a large part of our bookings actually come from organic search, and we continuously work to improve this. For instance, right now, our tech team and design team is really working hard to rebuild and rebrand the platform using latest technology so we can rank higher for certain keywords. We can overall improve our rankings in the next few months. So it's definitely not 100% marketing strategy that's run just by paid marketing.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, so in that sense, we're also trying to incorporate a little bit more, to get a higher organic presence, which means less spending money on marketing, which also still gives us bookings back. But
Yes.
what, for instance, you mentioned 100k euros that we are spending on marketing right now. But let's say we would spend less than that. What would the outcome of that be for, us as with locals, but also the host community? The host community in that case.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, Pim. So, for example, if for now we're spending over 100,000, what if we reduce our spend to 50,000? The short answer here is it will definitely reduce the bookings. It will impact the bookings negatively. And the reason this will happen is because no matter what marketing channel you use, effort needs to put in to be able to reach out to a large audience base that's ultimately looking for private and personalized tours. So, given that effort, the money needs to come in. However, we can improve our brand awareness in the coming years. We are working on that, uh, but still, we need to pair it up with performance marketing to get best results and to get to the booking volumes that we as a company and the host desire.
Cool. Yeah. So fair point there in answering this question as well. So spending less money doesn't mean that you will also be negatively impacted because less bookings, less customers in that way. So let's keep that
Exactly.
balance
Yeah.
correctly there, Shraddha. Cool. Thanks for answering this. And I'm taking a quick look at the chat to see if we have any questions coming in for you, Shraddha. Let's see. I don't see a question coming in for you right now. So once again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I do see a lot of hellos in this case. So hello from Paris, Warsaw, Hong Kong, people all around the world there. Do you have maybe anything other things to share related to marketing, Shraddha, for the host community at home?
Yeah, just for the host community to know that we're on top of it. It's our top priority. We will make sure that we continue to learn every day, scale whatever works, and really get the growth that we all desire and get the company and the hosts to rise and shine in the future.
Cool, thanks for that. Yeah, and then, if there's no further questions right now, then I would like to thank you for giving this update on how marketing works. It went a little bit in depth in some cases, but I think that's also good to give people an idea of how marketing works with locals. Thank you very much, Shraddha, and I'll be heading off to the next section for now.
Thanks, Pim, and thanks everyone for joining.
Yes, thank you, Shraddha. Yeah, so that was a little bit about marketing with locals and how that adds value to you as a host as well. What we would now like to talk about is a little bit of an update on well, the community. So what plays in the community? What ideas do we have for the community? As I mentioned in the beginning, we have the super locals new thing coming up. I'm also not sure what the super locals thing is now already, but I do know someone that does know more about this, and that person is Sharif, the community manager at Withlocals. So I would also like to invite Sharif to the stage here. Welcome, Sharif, to this event. Could you also give a short introduction? Well, maybe it's not that much necessary for the host in this case, but maybe just for other people also maybe watching. Who are you, Sharif? What do you do, and what are you going to tell us today?
Thanks, Bim. So yes, Sharif, I know, yeah, many of you know me, but for those who don't, I've been also with Locals for 5 years. I'm originally from Egypt, but also based in the Netherlands, and I work with Locals, managing and taking care of our community all over the world. That's over 2,000 hosts that are spread over 150 cities around the world, and growing. Communicating with the hosts, but also bringing back the issues and communication from the hosts into the company and seeing how we can solve some issues for the hosts. What are the most pressing issues? What innovations can we come up with at the company, working together with you, Pim, and other people at the IT team, with Shraddha at marketing, to connect the dots and make sure that the hosts are always at the forefront of what we do as one of, if not our key stakeholder at Withlocals.
Cool, thanks for this update here about you and also what you are going to be talking about. Because yeah, I think you covered a little bit already about what kind of update this is going to be. So we can maybe skip that part for now. But you also mentioned, well, some tools that maybe are created or maybe are updated lately. What are some communication tools, for instance, that hosts can use to connect with us with Locals? I mean, yeah, of course we have email, we have maybe the standard channels, but are there maybe also other things, Sharif, that, well, you can think of?
This is a great question. And other than my WhatsApp number, which seems to be buzzing very frequently with messages, also from guests, and that's fine. I don't mind, to try to get to people as much as quickly as possible. But really, the fastest way to get help with many of your questions, of the host's questions, is either to send an email to hosts@withlocals.com, especially when it comes to booking related issues, or issues with, not finding a guest or having an issue with a payout or things like that, something related to your individual account, or specific booking related issue. But also we have our Slack community, which is a very active community. There's already hosts from many of our destinations in there, communicating almost daily about not only tour specific issues or issues that are related to their particular communities or their particular tours, but also community-wide issues that are relevant for the global community, like the tools and services and products that we offer with Locals, like the increase in fees, or how that has impacted their communities, or like the drop, if there's a drop in bookings in a certain destinations, what is happening? Is it seasonality? Is it something else? How can we work together to help and improve the situation for the host? So I really invite everybody to also join our community in Slack. We will be sharing the link for that later in the chat, so people can join in and be all together in one big online community and not just in their own local communities.
Cool, yeah. So in that case, to summarize a little bit, for individual and maybe more booking related questions, you can send in an email to host@withlocals.com. But for the more, well, community related questions, you can also join the host Slack community. In that case, you also mentioned that you can, well, discuss issues there, or maybe there are community wide issues, or maybe some smaller issues, but bigger enough for email. Are there also being things being celebrated within the host Slack community there, Sharif? Or is it mainly about seeing if I have a problem with it and getting it solved in that way?
We do. So there is a channel called Celebrations, and there we share, we celebrate great reviews, we celebrate milestones, birthdays, individual celebrations, as well as community-wide celebrations, and also company celebrations. It's definitely a place to celebrate and a place to share good news, both professionally and personally. There's a fun channel where we share fun updates with each other. Every community has their own channel for their city. where they can discuss community-related issues, as well as, of course, like I mentioned, the global channels, a channel where they can report issues with their tours or issues with the app. That also seems a very popular channel when they have when there's a bug or there's an issue with the app, and it's a very quick way to report it and for us to take action on it.
Cool, thanks. So yeah, it's a little bit broader than just indeed dropping an issue there, but you can also celebrate there and well, have some fun together in that community. Yeah, maybe a question for the people tuning in at home. Have you already joined the host Slack community? Let us know via the YouTube live chat, and maybe we can also see if we can get other people to join if you haven't joined yet. And yeah, Sharif mentioned we will share a link to join this host Slack community in just a few moments as well. Yeah, thanks, Sharif, for answering that question. Well, we already gave the hint maybe a little bit to super locals and what that means, but are there maybe other things that our global community has to look forward to in the coming months with locals?
Absolutely. So apart from hopefully a very busy season full of bookings, and as Shraddha mentioned, our marketing team is working on that. We've been working on a couple of initiatives at the company. So the first one is that some of you may already know about. It's called a Give a Tour, Take a Tour initiative. And we've always received requests from hosts from all over the world saying, hey, can we take a With Locals tour when we travel or when we go on holiday? How does it work? Can we get a discount? So last year we piloted within the Slack community actually an initiative called Give a Tour, Take a Tour. And what this boils down to is you as a host volunteer your time in your city for an incoming With Locals hosts from another country, from another destination, and give them a tour for free, excluding expenses, of course. We don't expect you to pay for their food or for their transportation. And in return, when you travel, not necessarily to the same destination, you would get from that pool of hosts that opted in to be part of the Give a Tour, Take a Tour community, you get to experience a tour for free, excluding expenses also when you travel wherever else in the world. So we've already had here's some videos I want to share with you of some of our hosts that did this already. So this first one is Gabby from Rome, who went on tour in Bangkok.
Bangkok market, rice flour, fish, meat, pepper, fried. Yes!
We also have Miha, who coincidentally within the same week, Miha is from Berlin, also went on tour in Bangkok with a different host.
Rice.
Hi, so I'm here with Tony, and we are doing highlights and hidden gems tour, and we are just at the food market.
So at the moment we are in the market now. In this market they call Talat Ming Mueang. So they got a lot of the food that's selling around here. It would be like a lot of the traditional things that's selling along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we got.
Let's see it.
And finally, we had Jada and her friends from Venice who went to Madrid on tour with Marianisa.
Marianisa, this is great.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So in the
I'm here with Tony, and we are
in the follow-up to this webinar, we will be sharing also a link for opt-in for people who would like to join the Give a Tour, Take a Tour initiative, so that we grow this pool of hosts and have an opportunity for more hosts from all over the world to be able to take a With Locals tour when they do travel.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I really like this Give a Tour, Take a Tour initiative. It's, I think, also, well, promotes other hosts to maybe do a With Locals tour in a different destination and also see how other people maybe host. So in this case, for instance, Gabi with another foodie. Yeah, it might be an interesting cooperation how that works. So thanks for answering that question about how our global community has well, things to look forward to. Quickly taking a look at the chat, I think there may have been some questions coming in. And also, by the way, I think Mia has joined the live stream here. So welcome, Mia, there as well. And also for all the other people that have tuned in later, thanks for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the host webinar thus far. Let's see, are there any questions that we have? Yeah, I see a question coming in from Agnes, asking, do we have a plan for an AI bot for our booking system, Sharif?
Interesting question. We're always experimenting with technology, as you know, Pim, and an AI bot for the booking system is something that's probably unlikely to happen very soon, but it's definitely something that we've spoken about in terms of how we can leverage artificial intelligence in order to deliver faster, better responses from our hosts to guests and vice versa, and really use it to improve communication and boost bookings for all our hosts. So I would say put a pin in it for now. It's definitely something that's on the agenda for us to explore. When and how it will happen and what it would look like is something that I would keep an eye out for, and we'll definitely be letting you know when there is an experiment happening in relation to introducing artificial intelligence on the platform.
Cool. Thanks for answering this question. I hope that also answered your question, Agnes. So let us know if you need more follow up on this. But for now, Sharif, thanks for answering this one. Let's see. We also have a question coming in from Surprise Thailand, mentioning recently. Let's see. I think I have the question here. Yeah. Recently, we have some issues with online travel agency bookings that their policy can be made to cancel within 24 hours. However, since some of the tour as a host we need to book in advance, such as the vans, so maybe some things that you need to prepare in advance. And the problem is when the client from that one online travel agency cancels, how would they handle this situation in that case? Because our cancellation policy might be different from theirs. How would you advise here, Sharif?
This is a very good question. We receive this a lot in terms of the difference between the cancellation policies on Withlocals versus our bookings that come in through our partners, Viator, TripAdvisor, and Get Your Guide. And indeed, they do have a 24-hour cancellation policy that does allow their guests to cancel up to 24 hours before the event. We accept the risk that comes with that because of the volume of bookings that comes from these platforms, but we also will never force any of our hosts to be on these bookings. So what we always say, and if anybody asks me, this is always my response, is we understand that there may be an issue with canceling 24 hours before the tour, and if you feel that for the type of tour that you do, this is a risk that is not okay, there are two things you can do. One is let us know. In this specific case, a tour where there is a van that is booked in advance and you cannot do the tour if it gets canceled within 24 hours, then we can look at making this tour non-refundable, which will have an impact on bookings. Or you as a host can say, sorry, it doesn't work for me, guys. I don't want to be part of the 24-hour cancellation policy of partners or OTAs, so kindly take me off of those. It won't impact your ranking on the website to not be on them. What it will have an impact on potentially is a drop in bookings for you, because that would mean you're excluded from all bookings that come from partners.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I think that's a clear answer indeed. So thanks for giving this answer to the host community as well. Maybe other people also may have had this question, Sharif. Then taking a quick look at the chat, because I think there may be some other questions still in here. Let's see. First, one thing about Emre mentioning that I think they also did the Give a Tour, Take a Tour initiative, maybe it was before that initiative, I'm not sure, but at least they did a tour in Prague with Michaela there. So yeah, that's one part at least. And they also wrote a nice review for that. Then we have Ruth mentioning that they've done tours with in Ho Chi Minh, Bangkok and Colombo, and well, they loved it, and they are still in touch with some of the hosts there. So that's also a nice initiative. A nice way to have a little bit of communication between the hosts across different destinations. And maybe talking about different destinations, Sharif, there's a question coming in from Eva here. Is there any limitation of number of hosts in a destination? Because a friend of them would like to join and she was rejected previously.
So we're saying all of those things that we're doing for the community, but I also want to say one thing, and it ties also to what Emre was asking about drop in bookings in Istanbul compared to other places in 2023. So in the past, we always had spikes in summer. There's always a seasonal spike. So in Europe, that spike is in the summer, which is June, July, August. In other countries, the spike comes in different times. And what usually tends to happen in those situations is we would, in the past, onboard new hosts in order to fill the gap required to meet the demand. But what that tends to do is and that's probably something that we could have done in a better way, is it increases the size of the community and the number of hosts in the community over which bookings get divided. And then whenever there is a drop, those bookings, the same number of bookings, get divided over more people. So we've recently become a lot more conscious and careful in terms of when we are actually onboarding new hosts, how we're making the decision in terms of which destination needs new hosts, in order to not exacerbate this problem moving forward. Otherwise, it will always be a bigger problem every year. So Eva, if your friend was rejected recently, it's likely that it's because the community is saturated, and we don't want to have more hosts than we need in that community and repeat the mistake that we know we've done in the past.
Cool, thanks, Sharif. Yeah, I think it's also maybe a little bit of a balance between demand and supply, because indeed, if we have a lot of supply, which means in this case a lot of hosts maybe, then other hosts may get less bookings, which is also not ideal for them. So yeah, thanks for answering this question, and I hope it also answers the question for Eva in this case. Let's see, there's another question coming in. There's a good topic here with this community update here, Sharif. So let's see another question for you from Rufin, asking, in a gastronomic tour, how do I ask the travelers if they want to pay for some food? I do know that I think a lot of inclusions are maybe included already, but how would you handle this, or what advice would you give, Sharif?
So indeed, everything is prepaid for by the guests, particularly for a gastronomic tour. But if they would like to order something extra, I would always give them the option to say, make sure that you tell them what's going to happen at the beginning of the tour, tell them what's happening during the tour, keep account and track of everything that's happening, and then let them know, hey, guys, we've tried 8 things, a couple of things to go, but you're always welcome to ask for other stuff. That I can help you order more things if you would like to. It comes at a cost, but you're here now and you're going to explore the city, and if there are things that you don't want to miss out on, I'm here to help guide you through it. So it really depends. Everybody is going to be different. Really depends on the vibe of the tour and what people are looking for. But I wouldn't push it. I would make it seem more as part of an offer, but I would not push it on the guests.
Yeah, and in that case, clearly state what is included within the tour that they already paid for, and maybe some extras that they can do. But then, yeah, obviously they would have to pay for them for those themselves on the spot. Cool, thanks for answering this, Sharif. Now I see a lot of more questions coming in, but as we already mentioned during the introduction here, there may be a little bit of a time constraint here. So don't worry, all of your questions will be answered in the follow-up that will be sent to you after this event in your email. So keep an eye out for that as well. So we're also going to answer those questions, but unfortunately we are going to quickly move over to the next question that I also have for Sharif in this case, which was about the super locals, which I'm still quite interested in what this initiative maybe is. I already see something here on at least my slide, maybe not for the people at home yet, but what is this initiative, Sharif, called Super Locals?
So for quite some time, we've received feedback from you, from the hosts in the communities, saying, hey, we would like to feel more valued and rewarded for our good performance. Withlocals reaches out to us with a personalized message and an email every time there's a bad review, but nobody reaches out to us when there's a good review. And believe me, there's a lot more good reviews than there are bad reviews. So how are we going to be how can you do more for us to make us feel more appreciated and rewarded? And you're absolutely right. So over the last few weeks, we've spoken about launching something called a Super Locals program, and that's in the pipelines right now, thanks also to feedback from a lot of the hosts. This will start with a very simple assessment of all the host profiles. Maybe you're familiar with the Superhost program of Airbnb. We call ours the Super Locals because with locals, you're all our local hosts around the world. And basically, this will be very transparent criteria that we will be communicating with everybody. What is the criteria? How can you become a super host? What does it mean to be a super host? It will start off very simply with a badge that's going to be displayed on your profile publicly, so the guests are able to see it and identify what the super host is. This is somebody that's very reliable, that's got great reviews, which most of you have, has a good response rate, low cancellations, so my booking is safe. I'm not going to get canceled last minute. and also somebody that's done the sustainability training of With Locals. So there are certain criteria that we're going to be publicly launching and very transparent about how they're being communicated, and then you get that badge as step one. But eventually this will also evolve. There will be different levels of superhosts, and there will be rewards ranging from With Locals travel vouchers to perhaps special discounts on the With Locals commissions, which is a topic that we'll come to again soon in our chat with Matthias, along with also all your many of your questions that are coming in now. And yeah, so expect the pilot version to be launched in the next 2 to 3 months, and then iterations over time to make sure it's equitable and fair. We're not likely to get it right from the first time. Your feedback is always going to be great and really appreciated in order to improve this process. But yeah, we're looking forward to welcoming you all to be superhosts, and I hope as many of you hit the benchmark.
Yeah, cool. Well, it looks like a really nice initiative for the host community in this case, Sharif. And keep an eye out for this. As you mentioned, we hopefully will launch a pilot version of this within the next 3 months. And yeah, we will iterate over this. So at first it will be a small version probably, and then it will increase in size later on. But keep an eye out for this in the next 3 months. And thanks for this, Sharif. And also, as you mentioned, yeah, there are a lot of questions coming in right now, and some of these questions will also be covered in the fireside chat, which will start in just a moment. But before we go there, Sharif, anything you would like to still mention about the community update on this section?
No, I think we've covered a lot, and yes, a lot of questions are going to be coming in and have been coming in and will be covered in the chat with Matthias. So I'm looking forward to having him on screen soon and grilling, asking some fun questions, but also some very difficult questions.
Yeah, and well, talking about that, I think it's also maybe a nice bridge to move over to that fireside chat. Because, well, first off, thanks for the community update, but you will also be part of this fireside chat, Sharif, so you can stay on stage here with me. Because we will now have a fireside chat, which will be broken down into 3 sections a little bit. It will explain what the marketplace model is for With Locals, the product roadmap, and maybe some recommendations, what is coming up for the guests, but also for you as a host. And we also have some rapid fire questions that will be answered during this part. I will not be asking these questions this time. The chat will be between you, Sharif, and also the CEO of With Locals, Matthias. But he's not here yet, but he's probably, well, I can see him already waiting here to go on stage. Let's get Matthias as well on stage here. So welcome, Matthias, for this fireside chat, and I will give the word over to Sharif and Matthias here.
Thanks, Pim. And in line with what Pim was doing earlier, maybe I'll give Matthias a chance to introduce himself very quickly before we jump in.
Yeah, thanks, Sharif. And first of all, really, really good to see all of you. Well, I cannot really see you, but I see that many of you are attending. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Berlin for a conference and had a really nice dinner with some of our hosts. In a couple of weeks, I will be in Bangkok for another conference. I'm also going to do the same there, meeting our host. But I cannot do that for every single city. So I'm really happy that we have sessions like this. For me to explain a little bit of what we are doing, but most important to answer your questions and to talk about where are we going. So Sharif told me that he prepared some fun questions, some serious questions. So let's find out what he has in store for me.
I think I'm going to throw you in at the deep end to start with here, Matthias, diving straight into the meat of it. We grouped the questions that came in together, looked at all the questions that came in, and the most pressing topic is this. In September 2023, With Locals made a significant change to its business model. We switched from various commission structures on different tours to a flat 32% commission rate across all tours on the platform, originals and host offers and otherwise. What was the primary objective of doing this? Why did we do this? And did we actually achieve what we set off to do with this?
Got it. And I see that we indeed start with the tough questions straight away, but that's good. And that's also the goal of this setting. To really answer those questions. So let me explain what happened. So when we came out of COVID, and just like many of you, With Locals was also in a bad shape, so to say. We didn't have a lot of bookings, but something else also changed. So over the years, since starting the company, we have received a couple of investments. So some of you know this, right? If you are a startup and you're doing well, you attract attention from investors, and that helps to bring some additional funding in. So we always had a lot of money to build the platform, to build a community, to attract guests to the platform, the marketing that Trada just explained. But that climate has completely changed. So right now, it's not as easy to attract new funding anymore. So that also means for us, we had to make a really important decision. How are we going to make sure that we become profitable and that we can make sure that Withlocals platform is around for all of you, our hosts, for our guests? And to put it really simply, if we hadn't made this change, increasing that commission, and I fully understand that not all of you like this, and we're going to talk more about it. If we hadn't done it, Withlocals would not be here today. So we have achieved our objective, but I also understand that this has been tough for you. A bit of context, this is not the only thing we have done. Before COVID, we had a team of about 80 people. And you could say that maybe not everything was super efficient, fair point. But right now we are with about 20 people. So we went down from 80 to 20. So also on our side, we had to make some really tough decisions, basically to cut costs and again to make sure that the Withlocals platform will be around for a long time.
Okay, and the reverse side of this, which a lot of people are asking about, like Emre's question earlier, do you see a drop in bookings? One question that comes in is, would Withlocals take action if the fees and the commission have a negative impact on the number of bookings at certain destinations during, for example, the 2023 high season? This comes with a thank you for making the platform work after the pandemic. So the hosts, many of the hosts that ask this are understanding and appreciative of the fact that it's been a rough journey. But I think the important part here is to answer that question. Are we going to do anything about a negative impact of a drop in bookings because of the increase in fees and commission?
Yeah, very fair question. And short answer, yes, we will. At the same time, I also realize that it's not always going fast enough for you. Because if you are the one who sees a drop in bookings, yeah, that's not great, right? You're doing this because you want to receive bookings. So I want to share one example that we have in mind to help with it. And that example is dynamic pricing. So the idea here is that if we see on our side, and we have a lot of data points that we can check about our guests, visitors to the website, marketing, if we see that the demand is going up, that could be a good time to increase the price. Not forever, but just to make sure that you also earn more for that specific booking. And if the demand goes down a little bit, we go back to the base price. Not below that. We always want to make sure that you earn a fair income. But back to the question, yes, we will look into this, but I cannot give you an exact timeline for every single city, every single experience, when that will happen. But we fully understand where you are coming from, and we will address this.
Okay, that's great to know, and I'm curious to know from the audience, from the people attending this, how they feel about potentially earning more when the season is high and when the supply is more constrained, versus potentially also earning a little bit less when the season is low and bookings are dropping in general for their destination. So pop it into the chat. Let us know what you think about this initiative as one of the potential solutions for improving bookings across the whole year sustainably for all our hosts. Another question that comes in very regularly, and it is something that we need to make a clear distinction of. What's the difference between the 32% commission that is charged to the host and the 10% fee?
Good question. So the 32%, that is the host commission, the commission that we take on the supply side, and we use that for marketing, which Radha shared, support, but also community management, including the things you just mentioned, Sharif, in your update. So that's one. And then on the other side, we have the 10% service fee. That is on the guest side. That also covers for support, for payment fees, and for cancellations. So that is the answer to the question, what is it? But I think the real question here is, many of you might feel like this is not fair. This is way too much. Why can this not be lower, for instance? What I would like to share here is that the entire Withlocals team is working really hard to make sure that this also works for you. So nobody here in our team is doing this because we want to make a lot of money at the expense of our host. So yes, it is a lot of money. I fully realize that, but please know that we are doing this to make sure that we can actually run the platform. There are a lot of costs involved. Couple of those costs, we explained them, but there are many more. And if we didn't do this, so the situation I described around the investment, for a long time we had this money from investors, and we would basically operate the company while we were loss-making. And that's okay for a while if you want to build a company, if you want to go across the globe, go to more cities. It cannot last forever. So that's really the reason where this host commission, but also the service fee is coming from. And we will also address this in one of the upcoming points in this conversation. But please know that we are working really hard to make this work, not just for Withlocals, but also to make it work for you.
And I can confirm with that. Like, everything we're doing is revolving around driving bookings back, because also I think this goes without saying, when our earning is a percentage of what the hosts earn, our interests are aligned, right? It's
exactly.
We earn a percentage of what they earn, so the more they earn, the more Withlocals earns. It's not standalone. So there we make sure to keep our interests aligned. In a letter to hosts last month, you mentioned that Withlocals has a zero tolerance to encouraging bookings outside the platform. Our fraud detection flags these bookings and conversations, of course. Sometimes this action is started by the hosts. In most cases, it's encouraged by the guests. How do you think hosts should react when they're put in this situation?
Really good question. And I am a very flexible guy in general, but this is one area where I have zero flexibility. So let me give you an example, Sharif. Imagine that you are going to a very nice restaurant, and the chef in that restaurant, he or she prepared a really nice meal for you. And you enjoy the vibe, the atmosphere of the restaurant, the service, and of course also the delicious food. But then at the end of the dinner, you decide to get up from your table, sneak out to the back door, and then go to the chef directly and try to pay for the dinner directly to the chef. That would be a little bit strange, right? So basically, you would skip the restaurant, who of course also play a role here. They take care of the venue, they take care of the presentation, the service, many other things. But I feel that that is exactly what's happening if a customer, or maybe sometimes even a host, wants to go around the platform. If you're doing that, you are basically ignoring the value that we bring, the fact that we drive a lot of customers to the platform, the fact that there is a trust and safety when you think about payment, for instance. So that type of behavior, it's not good for you. It's not good for us Withlocals, but I think in the end, it really hurts our host community. So that's the reason that we indeed have this zero tolerance policy, because if this is going to happen, yeah, it will have a really big impact on all of us. And that's something that we really should avoid.
But why can't I, as a host, then just go and open my own restaurant?
That's a good point. And I think now we are talking about something else, right? If you want to open up your own restaurant, so being a tour guide, being a host, that means that you want to run your own business. you get a big applause from me. I would be really happy if you can make that step. And we have a couple of very successful hosts who are running their own business. And if that means that you can even do it without Withlocals, we will miss you for sure. But again, I would be really happy because then you have been able to build a living running your own business. I also know this is not for everybody. Not everybody is able to start their own restaurant, their own touring business. So if you think about, we are a marketplace, right? So we connect travelers on one hand with hosts on the other hand. So what exactly is the value here? Well, one reason is scale, simply the volume of customers that come to our platform. Like Strada said, we are spending so much money in a very, very efficient way on Google, Facebook, some other platforms. Before all those customers, potential customers, come to the website, sometimes they don't even know to which city they are going. And if they know that they go to Bangkok, they go to Sevilla, for instance, then they don't know yet, is it going to be a food tour? Do they want to see some highlights? So you bring all those people together, and then you have a wide range of experiences where guests can choose from. So that's one example of a marketplace. And that's pretty hard to do that if you're just on your own or only with a couple of people. Another one is that variety is also really important to drive interest. So like I said, people don't always know what they want. We can show a lot of different things. We can experiment with it. And that will lead to more bookings. Then there's reviews. We have a ton of positive reviews. Well, you also know that customers care about reviews. So I would say that there are a lot of reasons to work with us. But again, if you feel like the value is not there, we are not doing a good job, I think there's two options. One is you leave the platform. Before you do that, please talk to us. I really hope that we can resolve this. And number two is, if you feel like I can do this better, I can do it on my own, then I don't have to pay a commission. Great. Just go ahead, and we are more than happy to help you in that process. But for many people, I really believe 100% that we are driving value, even if you think about the commission and the service fee. So let's just make sure that the part that you earn still feels like a fair income. That should be the starting point, and I'm really sure that we can make that happen.
I think that's a great way to separate it, which is we want to make sure that the hosts earn a fair income, but we also want to make sure that we, as Withlocals, receive a fair income for the value that we add and the services that we offer. And maybe that's a great way to jump into the next part of this, which is the services that we offer. And one of those services is the product, the platform, the website,
yep.
the host environment that our team always works on improving. And do you have examples of some products or ideas of things that are being developed right now that are on our roadmap that will help improve the experience of hosts on the platform? There's a lot of questions that come in, requests that come in all the time. It seems that it takes us a very long time to also build or develop sometimes new things that are host facing. So maybe can we give some ideas of stuff that's on the roadmap for now?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to share 3 things. But first, to give you an idea of what live in Withlocals is, of course, we get a lot of requests from hosts in terms of how can we improve the platform. We get the same requests from customers. And then we have a team, and we have a very smart team. They also have really good ideas. So that basically means that we sometimes have a list of 80 different ideas that we want to work on. But in reality, we can only work on, maybe 3 to 5 ideas. So that's also the reason that we cannot always do everything within 1 or 2 months. It takes time. The 3 things I want to mention are, first, adding new host offers. We want to make that process a lot easier for all of you. And this is also based on your feedback. That's an important one. Two, in general, communication can really be a bottleneck, right? So we have a chat, but we know that it takes a lot of time. So I think the most simple way to say this is, how can we make our chat more like WhatsApp? So you can see that a guest has read your response, for instance. We will come up with some automated responses. So if you have to type the same response every day, we can also make sure that it's just one click of a button for you. So that saves you time, sharing images, sharing documents. So there's a lot of little features, all with a goal to streamline, improve that communication for you as a host. So that was number 2. And the third one I want to mention is being able to respond to reviews. So I'm sure that many of you have seen this on Google Maps, where you do a review of a restaurant, for instance, and then the restaurant also has the ability to respond to that customer review. We want to do exactly the same. That can be helpful for negative reviews. For instance, if you don't agree, but it can even be more valuable if you also respond to very positive reviews to confirm that you also liked the experience, maybe highlight a couple of things that really stood out. And with Google Maps, it's really clear that that approach is working really well. And we want to offer you a similar experience where you can respond to those reviews.
These sound great, and I'm sure, like, just working on them, and we know that this will also help improve the host experience on the platform and contribute to more and better bookings for our hosts. But for example, another one that I've heard from hosts a lot is that they would like to see a higher income for experiences that have more guests on them, simply because it's more work. So doing a tour with 8 people is more work than doing a tour with 2. Why do I earn the same? Why can't I earn more for the 8-person booking?
Yep, that's a very good point. And I know, Sharif, that some hosts have shared this with you last year already. Good news, we are going to test this, and we are going to use these insights to improve the platform.
Yeah, but and I speak on behalf of the hosts here and say, they've requested this over a year ago, and it's something that we agree with them also that it would be valuable. Why test? Why not just build it? And why not build everything all at once and build, say we're gonna choose and stagger things? What's taking so long?
Yep, fair point. So one thing that I have learned over the years, I also like testing. And sometimes, personally, I want to go too fast. And I've done that a couple of times. But it can also bite you in the tail, right? Sometimes you go too fast. So what works for one host, what works for one city, doesn't always work for another host in another city. So we want to make sure that this change is working out well for all hosts. So a change in price, for instance, can also lead to a change in marketing, changing the same experience on a partner platform like Viator, TripAdvisor. It can have an impact on bookings. So testing helps us to make sure that the change is working across the board, not just for one host, but for all of our hosts. But again, we are going to look into this. And I will promise you, if we do the same webinar in 6 months from now, you're not going to get the same answer from me. Then we will have something that we can show you.
Those are some intense questions, and I want to move on to some more lighthearted ones. And I know the hosts have a lot more questions. I've seen a lot come through the chat. But what do you think is the best way for them to bring these suggestions forward or ask the questions and make sure that they're heard and acted upon?
Yeah, so the best place is the one that you shared already, Sharif. That is our Slack community. And I think that our team can also put a link to that Slack community in the chat. So you simply have to click it and you can join it. And that's really a good way to have discussions, to reach out to our team. Same story, we cannot always pick up every question straight away, but please know that we will see all of those questions and we will take care of that. And the other thing I want to share here is that I am super, super happy with that Super Locals program. It's work in progress, I know that. But how I see this, I would really like to have a roundtable session. I mentioned going to Berlin, going to Bangkok. I will go to more cities, but have a roundtable session with a couple of hosts, super local hosts maybe, to just talk about different ideas. What do you think we have to do? The concerns that you also shared before this chat. I think sessions like these are really helpful to make sure that we are all on the same page and that we all want to move in the same direction. So a big thanks for all your inputs, and I look forward to that next session.
Cool. We're going to move on to the last part of this session with you and some rapid fire questions. So not dwelling too long. This is just, we'll start off a bit easy and quick answers from you. So
do I need to be concerned, Sharif?
I don't know. We'll see. Some are harder than others, but we won't get too much context from you. It'll be a quick answer to the question. So let's jump in. Early bird or night owl?
That's easy. Early bird, for sure.
Okay. Adventure or relaxation?
Adventure.
Coffee or tea?
Espresso.
Not too difficult, right?
No, it's going fine.
Okay. Host or guest?
Here we go. Host. Although I do feel that all of us, including myself, we're also happy if we have some guests.
CEO of Withlocals or being a host at Withlocals?
So how about we change positions for a day? If anybody in the audience feels like, let me run the company, I'll try to take care of some great experiences during that day. So just reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to switch positions for a day.
I'm not looking at the chat right now, but I would like to see it go. Lots of people raising their hands up. More bookings or more profit?
More bookings.
More focus on sustainability or more bookings?
More sustainable bookings. We also have to care about people and the planet.
Airbnb experiences, dead or alive?
Alive, but not in great shape at the moment.
Your favorite destination?
Not just one city, I guess. All the places I haven't been to. There's so much more to explore, so let's see that as my favorite destinations.
Your most memorable Withlocals experience?
That was a really nice cooking workshop in Kuala Lumpur, sourcing ingredients on the local market, preparing the food at home with a very lovely family. I think that's by far my best Withlocals experience. But I'm happy to add a new one to that list.
And one thing you always pack when traveling?
Running shoes. So I really love to explore a new city while going for a run. So that will always be in my suitcase.
And last, I see you wearing a Withlocals hoodie. I'm wearing a Withlocals t-shirt.
Yeah.
Some hosts have asked about this already. Can they get some Withlocals merchandise?
So logistics is always a bit challenging. But first of all, if you are ever in the Netherlands, let me know. And I'm more than happy to personally hand over a hoodie when you are close to our office, as long as we have hoodies left. But I also know that we have this upcoming host awards. And I think that you will share a bit more about that, Sharif. And a little bird told me that also might involve some goodies, some prizes. So stay tuned for that. And again, thanks to all of you for attending this fireside chat. I really, really liked it. I will also make sure to read all the other questions where we didn't have the time to answer in this session. and get back to you on that. But again, thank you very much and have a great day.
Thanks, Matthias, and I think I will be joined again on stage by Pim, our host for the day.
Yes, I think I'm also there back again. So thanks, Sharif and Matthias as well for doing this fireside chat. It was really interesting to, well, hear about the questions and also, more importantly, the answers to those questions. And I think it was a nice balance between, how deep we can go into the depths of these questions. And it was really nice for me as well to listen to these answers. So thanks, Sharif, there in this case. Well, I think we are coming up to the end of this webinar a little bit. But as well, I've mentioned in the beginning, you had a sort of a surprise for me, possibly also the host community, Sharif. Could you give us a little bit of info on this surprise? Or, tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, so we do. Before we get to that, I just want to give a shout out to some hosts that have been really amazing ambassadors in their communities across Withlocals. And this ties into what I was saying earlier about the super locals. But these are really hosts that have taken it upon themselves to be the voice of their community to Withlocals, help each other, help the community members. And they've also been a huge help to Withlocals. I've seen conversations where a new host that's just joined the community, asks a question about how to deliver a tour, and really they get such a detailed response on where to go, what to do, what to order, things that within a normal marketplace where you feel there's a competition, people sometimes hold back on. But I really want to recognize some of those hosts, and this is just a cross section. There's many more that I come across every day, and this is what we're all about. If I've missed out of anybody, please let me know. We'll make sure that you're all recognized, because it's really fantastic to see hosts go out of their way to help the community and be Withlocals ambassadors.
Thanks for the shout out, Sharif. And yeah, I see some familiar names here for me as well as a software developer here with Withlocals. And one of them, the top left one, is also currently in the chat, I see. And that's Mia. And he also, to go back to the fireside chat questions, if you would like to be a CEO at Withlocals or a Withlocals host, Mia would like to become a CEO of Withlocals for a day. So, maybe that's something for Matthias later to catch up, Sharif. Thanks for this shout out for these amazing hosts. And indeed, as you mentioned, there are a lot more hosts there that we could give a shout out to, but then the list would become very long. We would have a very long slideshow, and then this entire list would just take probably an hour to present. But that is, I don't think, the entire surprise for today, because I feel like there's a little bit more here, Sharif. Is there a little bit more, or is it just my feeling there?
True. So we mentioned the Super Locals program earlier because our host community and rewarding them is very important to us. And we want to make sure that you all feel appreciated and recognized. So apart from the Super Local program, which we're working on, I'm very happy to announce the Withlocals Host Awards.
So the Withlocals Host Awards, and I see already maybe some categories in my mind. My mind's going crazy, like Oscars, Grammys kind of thing, or what does it look like? Host Awards, and do we give prizes? I heard Matthias mention something with goodies. What goes on in the Host Award show?
Absolutely. So our success with Locals and your success is a combination of data-driven results and being a people business. So empathy, soft values, and somewhat intangible things that we need to also recognize. So with these awards, we aim to show our appreciation for both. We're going to have categories like the Booking Keeper, which is the host with the longest streak of bookings without cancellations. Who, by the way, happens to be with us here today. Shout out to Emre from Istanbul, who's currently on an exemplary streak since his last cancellation. So keep it up. To things like the Master Tailor, and somebody who perhaps sends a ton of personalized offers. So we're going to look at people who do things from a data perspective, but also people who deliver great experiences to their guests.
Yeah, and I can imagine maybe the data part of this can be, well, a little bit easier. I mean, we have data on how many personalized offers someone has sent or how fast people respond to messages. But how will we or maybe you or someone else, judge the emotional side of these awards, like maybe some positive reviews or stuff like this? How will that happen, Sharif?
So as I mentioned earlier, I'm glad you've asked. We've received a lot of feedback from hosts in the past about how we reached out to them when there are bad reviews, but not enough when they receive a great review or are doing great. And they're right. And this absolutely has to change. And we've started doing that. So just like we look at bad reviews, we also look at the really good ones. And by the way, there's way more good reviews than there are bad reviews. I'm just going to share a few here from ones that we look at, but also look at what the guests really appreciate. And one of those things is flexibility. So we'll share these examples later as well. And I'm sure most of you are extremely flexible hosts. So yeah, making modifications last minute based on the guest's needs, showing empathy and understanding. These are things that come up in the reviews. And as you can see here, whether you're a new host that has been on the platform very recently and had only one review, that still gets appreciated, and we still see those things, as well as hosts that have received over 70 or 80 or hundreds of reviews. And the second one that we know guests really appreciate is communication and personalization. This is a very good example. Teresa, who's a lawyer in Porto, had 2 bookings with the same guest on the same day and really went out of her way to personalize the experience for the guest. I've heard examples of hosts buying small gift packages for their guests to give them a souvenir before they leave, or a local bottle of wine to take home with them after an experience. So there's a lot of different things where hosts really go out of their way to make the experience special for their guests. And we want you to know that this doesn't go unnoticed. We see it, we recognize it, and now it's time for us to also reward it. And those rewards will happen most likely in an online setting like this, but also expect to receive memorabilia for the hosts that are winning those rewards, as well as other prizes related to the platform and performance as well.
Cool, thanks for this update and announcement, Sharif. And maybe do we already have an idea of when this would be later in the year, or do you have anything to give on that, or is it too early for this to state when this will be held?
I would say it would probably take place towards the end of this year for the first one.
Cool. Yeah. So then for all of the people watching, keep an eye out for this later during this year for, I think we can call it maybe the host award show because it's basically a host award show. But thanks for this update and announcement, this surprise announcement here, Sharif. Thanks for doing this. And I think, this is also the part, where we are going to wrap up a little bit about for this host webinar. This was the final part of the host webinar, but also certainly not the least, I hope. We've covered 2 sections that hopefully will have explained what we at Withlocals do to provide you, the host community, with some added value across the board, from how we spend the marketing budget to how you can contact us over multiple channels, with the host Slack community, for instance, as well as an upcoming rewards program named Super Locals, as well as this host award show later on. Apart from that, also a lot of your questions that have been sent in before this webinar are hopefully answered during the fireside chat together with Sharif and Matthijs. With the slight remark that that we will get back to unanswered questions after this host webinar in the follow-up of this. So stay tuned for that. So also don't be too let down if your question wasn't answered in the chat during this live event. Talking about staying tuned, we just had the Withlocals Host Awards. We will probably have them later this year somewhere. Just keep an eye out for that as well, because we will share more information on this event once we have more information to share on this event. Now, I would like to thank all of the speakers for today. So we had Sharada in the beginning, Sharif, who was there just with me as well still, and also Matthijs, to speak during this event. And also for the team behind the scenes that have made this event, this host event, possible. If you haven't been able to tune in at the very start of this event, then once again, don't worry, we will send a follow-up email with the full recording of this event. With also those with a list of questions that will have been answered later on. But for now, we are going dark. So thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your day wherever that may be. Goodbye.